Now we have interesting comments that were made by Jermaine Dupri. Kendrick and Drake continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. Uh, Recently, a video clip went viral of Steph Curry before tip off of an exhibition game. Team USA is getting ready for the Olympics. Steph is on the team, and there was an exchange between Steph and LeBron and some of the other players on the team. And Steph is overheard talking about how tired he is of Kendrick's "Not Like Us," and the clip went kind of viral because Steph is just like, I'm tired of this song. I'm tired of this song. In response to Steph talking about how tired of the song he is, JD chimed in with his thoughts on why somebody would be tired of that song. So we'll go ahead and play this little snippet here. So basically, what JD is saying is rappers from the past, and I'm guessing he includes Kendrick in this group, used to make music for impact. But nowadays, because no one makes music for impact, fans don't care to listen to music that's made for impact. So you'll get exasperated because you don't want to hear music for impact. And JD is saying the reason why music isn't the same is because no one cares about music being made with impact anymore. So first, this starts off with Steph talking about it. It's the brief clip of Steph, and then it goes into JD's
I was
comments.
like, it was long. Oh, is it playing? There you
What up, y'all? Out here getting this walk. I want to say shout out to everybody that came out to the LL Cool J event last night. I learned something, I think, when I was there. And what I think I learned is that the reason why it's no male stars in hip hop anymore that have the impact that LL Cool J has and had is because the goal in hip hop used to be impact, not sales, not charts, impact. How hard, pause, you could impact the streets. And that's one of the goal. And that's to me is the sole reason why rap is not what rap used to be. Because niggas don't care about impacting the streets no more.
All right, so those were JD's comments. We finally got it to play.
go. Okay, good.
So essentially, what I think he is saying is the reaction to Steph's "Not Like Us" is emblematic of people no longer prioritizing impact in music. And then he piggybacked off of that thought by saying rap isn't what it is, and rappers aren't what they used to be because they don't make music for impact anymore. So I think that's generally what he meant by that. Now he used LL Cool J as an example for artists with impact, but I think that he was grouping Kendrick in with that group in terms of like artists who make music for impact. So what do yeah, I'm with you, Dudley. The whole pause thing is so unnecessary.
Man,
Shouts out to Dudley on the chat. I'm with you, bro. The pause thing needs to end. That wasn't even on my brain, and he just threw that out there. But so yeah, what did you make of that? Like, do you think he has a point with with the? Do you think there is a connection there in terms of what Steph said and his overall thoughts about a lack of impact in music or artists making music for impact?
yeah, I mean, I can see that point. At first, really didn't get where he was coming from, but after reading his caption there, man, he spelled out pause. Can you believe that?
He did,
How
yeah.
old this man is, bruh. If we want to start talking about problems in hip hop, let's start there. This guy's 50 some years old, 60 years old, talking about pause. But I agree what he's saying in the sense that Not Like Us is such a monumental moment right now in hip hop that it is being played everywhere by everyone at everything. So, yes, you are hearing it a lot. to the point where, well, now you're sick of it, even though you like it, you know. And so what JD's alluding to at this point is, well, he's not used to that because there's not that many records out there that are that impactful anymore. You know, probably more just disposable throwaway hits, which we've been experiencing a lot of, honestly. So I can see that viewpoint, but I think the bigger overarching thing here, at least for me, is when this stuff came out, was the fact that Steph Curry can't have a moment of peace. Like he can't just sit there and have an opinion to himself, you know, amongst his homeboys and say, "Hey, man, I don't want to hear this right now." You know, he can't have that opinion. Now people got to weigh in that Steph Curry don't know what's going on. He ain't part of the new. He's part of the new generation of people who don't get it. Steph Curry is just having an honest moment, which he was entitled to. So that's the part about this that I feel like sucks. That's very invasive. I felt I was like, hey man, let that man have a private moment to not like something that everybody else likes right now. So I'm not going to throw stones at Steph because I get where he's coming from. Because at least when I'm scrolling on TikTok or whatever, and you know, I hear, you know, certified lover boy, certified, blah, 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 you know, and it's like, all right, I get it, you know, or anything else, you know, some saying something. I was like, all right, you know, I get it, you know. Immediately scroll to the next video. So I get where he's coming from that sense of, okay, it's a bit overkill. And I think he's entitled to have that opinion. Everybody has their own overkill threshold. And so it passed Steph's, and he's entitled to that. But I think that, yes, JD does have a point in the sense that there aren't any more impactful records that's like swarming the streets and you hear it in every car booming. You know, that's not really going on anymore. But at the same time, I don't think that's the reason why, you know, Steph was, you know, not feeling it right there. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sir JD, you know, responding to Steph not like us? Well, what are your thoughts?
I think that his overall point is correct, but I think he connected loose dots by connecting it to Steph. I don't think someone who's tired of hearing a song, I don't think that's indicative of people not caring to hear music for impact.
Right.
He can just be tired of hearing it. Like I remember when Speaker Box The Love Below came out. I swear to God, every 2 minutes they was playing Hey Ya. Like I couldn't go 5 minutes without hearing Hey Ya somewhere. Like it was everywhere. Like that is one of the most overplayed songs in my lifetime listening to music. Like I can't remember in my life a song that got played more than that one. Now, granted, that whole album was overplayed because The Way You Move got played a lot, you know. But that Hey Ya by Andre 3000, bro, that song got played. It was beaten into the ground how much it got played. And this was way back in what, 2000? When did that come out? Like 2001, 2002, something like
I
that?
want to say 2002. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So me saying I'm tired of hearing this song would have literally just been me being exasperated over the fact that I have to hear this song constantly. I don't necessarily think that there's a greater indication of how I don't appreciate songs that make a particular cultural impact. So I think that that's connecting two loose dots. But I think his point is correct. But this is just what happens when this is what happens when something reaches its zenith, right? And then you reach the apex. Now that the apex is reached, everything becomes watered down after that. Music is just one example of that. It's the same with sports. Like I would say that NBA players today get to sign $300 million contracts largely because of the foundation that was built in the late 80s and the 90s. So like the NBA with Magic and Bird and the Pistons and the Celtics, and then obviously with Jordan, like that situation, many people think that that was the golden age of the NBA, not necessarily because of skill set, but because of how that era was so instrumental in propelling the NBA into mainstream TV sets and living rooms all over the place. You know, the NBA went from being on tape delay to all of a sudden being this event that you wanted to pay attention to. And obviously, when Jordan came along with the Bulls, he took it to a whole nother level. Like a lot of historians, in terms of like studying sports history, they say that it was during that time that the game truly started to become globalized. That's when the world started paying more attention to and taking basketball more seriously. Now you look at the world and you see all of these other teams that have multiple NBA players on them. I was watching Germany play the USA team the other day. There's like 5 NBA players on that team. Between Schroeder, the two Wagner boys, that team has like 4 or 5 NBA guys. Like, yeah, now the global game is close to catching up to what we do here in the States. But many people say that that started with what the era ushered in with the late 80s and into the 90s. So from that standpoint, the NBA reached this peak. Now we're at sort of this point where guys are just signing 300, $400 million contracts, bouncing around from team to team and just doing whatever, reaping the benefits of being a superstar NBA player that was largely created through the foundation that those previous players helped to establish. So everything reaches its zenith. I would say it's the same thing with music. I think that what we are seeing with music, culturally and musically, is largely a byproduct of what previous generations helped to set up. And for me personally, the era that is a part of setting it up, to me, is the gold standard. So I would say the 90s, like, you know what I'm saying, during the 90s and in the 2000s, they were setting up what a lot of these artists are able to do today. And so for me, because they were a part of institutionalizing the setup for it, I view that as the golden era, the zenith, the peak. And since the peak, you can only go one place, and that's downhill. So I agree with his point that I agree with his general point that music is largely not made for impact, and it's not. Music today is largely, you have a few artists today who care about the true culture of it, not the playful, sort of lackadaisical use of the word culture that they sort of use today, but the actual culture where music is meant to stimulate minds and stand for something, and it's meant to have a message that's thought provoking and say something. That's the true culture of the music. But that was established 15, 20 years ago. And that was when it was at its peak. They're no longer doing that now because they're no longer required to. Like, whenever something, it breaks through, it hits its peak, and after that, everybody can just eat and become fat off of it. And that's just basically what we're seeing. So his overall point is correct. I just don't think that directly tethers to Steph's now indifference towards the song. I think that you can be tired of hearing it because it does get played a lot. It is what it is, but I don't think that means by default that Steph doesn't care about music with impact. He can just be tired of hearing it because it gets overplayed. No different to how tired I became over hearing the Hey Y'all song because of how overplayed that song was. So I think that the two things aren't necessarily correlated, but I do agree with his point overall that music isn't made for impact. I mean, but music is no different than movies, sports. It's all the same in that once something reaches its peak, it goes downhill, and all the rest of the people who participate in it afterwards just kind of get to eat and get fat and gluttonous over it.
Yeah, 1,000. And by the way, Speakbox 2003.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's saying, we getting old, bro. All that stuff starting to be a blur. But yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I just think that this was JD just trying to be relevant, just tying things in that aren't necessarily correlated. But then again, he lives in that world, so he might actually view it that way. And see, there we go again. But again, I haven't caught up. I haven't been aware of much of JD's work. Now I know he did something with Currency. I don't heard that. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his thing with that. But as far as him making like the big hits that he used to, I don't know how many big hits he's made. Because my thing is when some, like, from us on the outside looking in, from the artist world, because we don't make music, we would say that, yeah, man, make more iconic music, make more impactful music. But you're in there. You're in the industry. You've got all the machines. You got all the connections. Why aren't you making iconic music? Why aren't you producing any iconic music, lately? Now, fill me in if I'm wrong. If you made some hits lately, I don't know. But if it's iconic, I should know about it.
One would assume, yeah, you would assume
I
so.
would know
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. So I don't know. Then let me know. So
Iconic, that's a pretty big word. Iconic is a pretty big word.
yeah, man. Well, impactful, I don't know. Let me know. So
Yeah.
so this is my thing with guys like him, man. The game didn't pass you by when you're a producer, so you can still be a fire producer in your 70s or whatever. So age has nothing to do when you're behind the scenes pulling strings. So I would like to see him do more iconic music. It's not that this was a hit for the reason why it was, and it was saying what it was saying, and it was doing what it was doing. And if JD can sit around and do that, then what I'm saying, let us know and make a big hit yourself. But yeah, man, I just think it's just fatigue, man. If you're on social media, I mean, he's an athlete. They play it after every game. Everybody go crazy, like, he want to hear something else. And so I don't see anything wrong with that. So I think this is just a little bit a bit of a hot take from JD, just so he can get in the algorithms. So so hey,
Yeah.
man, and shouts out to LL, because he made a side plug for LL. Now that we know LL's on tour, so this was this was a good business venture for JD. Hey, he's slicker than I thought. Yeah. So
Yeah. Everything has a peak and a down
Mhm.
and a decline. Everything. So I think now, hip hop culture itself, as well as the people who make the music, they're just getting fat. They're just getting fat and gluttonous off of the foundation that was established before. But
Mhm.
in my opinion, it has reached its peak and it's now on the decline. How sharp a decline depends on your perspective, but everything has a peak, and then everybody is just eating off of what the founding fathers were able to create. Like social media. I don't know, depending on who you talk to, social media is going to have its peak and then it's going to have a decline. Everything declines. Everything just can't stay ultra relevant into perpetuity. So everything is going to have its decline. Tech is going to have its day. All of these dating apps, they had their heyday. Everything has a decline. So, it's going to come a time where people are going to look back at social media. I know it seems crazy to think about this now, but there is going to come a time in the future where people are going to look back on social media and they're going to be like, damn, I'm tired of being on these apps. Like that's going to happen at some point. Now we're in a zenith of this stuff and over consumption of it, overindulgence. But in the future, we're going to get to a point where people are just going to be tired of it. People are tired of it now, but most people are loving it. Most people are loving it. But in the future, there's going to be a time where it's like, I'm tired of this stuff, but it's still going to be relevant, and its relevance in the future is going to be due to people who continue to be able to benefit off of it and leverage it because of what it was able to create for itself when it was at its peak. But the point is that everything hits a peak. Everything hits a peak and then there's a decline. So, yeah, artists ain't making music for impact anymore because they don't have to. Now it's just a mainstream form of content that everyone listens to for like indulgence and enjoyment. There is no incentivization for making music with impact. Thus, no one does it. So he's not totally wrong. He's just connecting unconnected dots, in my opinion.
Yep. 100. 100. And yeah, man,
Shouts out
shout
to
out to
JD though.
JD. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
shouts out to JD, man. And shout out to LL Cool J, who's on tour apparently.
Yeah. Got a new album out. LL went back in the booth.